Hi, in this video we're going to talk about another feature of Robopack that really makes this product stand out from the rest, and that's custom application settings. This allows us to modify installations the way we want, especially if you've got applications that are either tricky or require additional command lines. I'm going to walk through that on this video. We're going to package two applications. One will be a custom app, which I'm going to upload into Robopack, and that's going to be SentinelOne. SentinelOne requires a site token as part of the installation, so we'll cover that in the custom apps. And the other app is going to be Foxit Editor, which is an instant app already in Robopack, but we're going to do a few different things to that using PSADT commands, PowerShell commands, and I'll cover that as well. Okay, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to upload SentinelOne, our custom app. So we'll do that now. We're going to wrap it as an Intune win file, that's fine. We're going to leave the defaults as they are. I have already got a template for PSADT. I'll cover that in a separate video, but for now, as I said before in previous videos, PSADT is by far the best way to go. So I'm using my PSADT template, and I'll cover that in more detail later stage. We'll click continue, and we'll create the package. That's now going to upload into Robopack and run various checks on that application, and we'll then do some configuration after this. So what it does now, it basically uploads. After the upload, it will go through, analyze the application. It'll spin up a VM, as you can see here. It's preparing a VM in the back-end infrastructure. Copies the files up, essentially installs the application and uninstalls the application, and learns all the correct commands and the registry settings, etc. For this application. Okay, so after a short time, as you can see, we've got a green tick. It's completed. So now this is where we can add additional settings in the custom application. So what we're going to do with the Sentinel agent is we're going to set the site token, and we're also going to do a setting called WSC equals false. Now what that does, during the Sentinel Windows agent installation, this prevents the agent from registering with the Windows Security Center, which stops Windows from automatically disabling Windows Defender, because we want Sentinel and Windows Defender both running. So we're going to put that switch on as well. So what we do now is we come over to add a custom setting here. Okay. Now, there's quite a few things in here, but let's just go over a couple of points. So with settings, the great functionality of this is you can have it so that it targets specific applications, specific versions, or you can have it so if you leave that blank, essentially it'll target any version of the Sentinel agent that we upload. And that's really what we want, because we want this same setting for any version of the Sentinel agent. But you can, because it's so configurable, you can have specific custom settings per version of the app. So it's really powerful. Okay, so now I'm going to just move down here a minute, and we're going to, on the install command, we're going to hit this button here, add parameters. So now it says, okay, what do we need to add? So we're going to add site underscore token equals, and then whatever the site token is. And then we're also going to add WSC equals false. So by doing this now allows us to have a site token, obviously whatever your site token is for this application, and also WSC equals false, which is I just mentioned earlier. So you may be asking, well, how do I know it's site token and WSC equals false? Well, unfortunately, that just boils down to just knowing the way the app works and just reading documentation about the application. So that's where I know about these. I mean, I've installed a lot of apps, all different varieties, so I know some of this stuff pretty well. But yeah, so you'd need to research some of these commands, obviously, if you don't know what they are or what you're trying to achieve. But on this particular one, I know this site token and WSC. So let's save this now. So scroll up, let's save the settings on that. Okay, there's our setting there. It's append. It's done the append. Okay, so let's quickly. Let's go back actually. Let's go back to the package. We'll see it here. Here it is. Because what I want to show you now is, so here's the package now. We've got our custom app settings, which is there. If I click on that, it'll take me to the custom app setting, which I've just done. But what I'm interested in really is I want to look at the script. So let's look at this. View the PSADT script. And if we scroll down, there we go. As you can see here on that line there, Robopack has automatically added on the MSI. It's automatically added our site token, wherever that might be, and our WSC equals false command. That's perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go into, I'll tell you what, let's create a group in Entra. I'm going to create our pilot users group because, as I've mentioned numerous times before, I think it's good practice to push this to a couple of test devices first before deploying it any wider in the organization. So let's just call it IT-pilot devices. Oops, devices. That's fine. And let's create our group. Let's head back over to Robopack. And we're going to set up a flow. That's fine. Yeah, we'll leave it. That's fine. Yeah, okay. We'll just do a let's do a pause. Let's do a free supersedes is fine. Leave the rest as default. That's fine. Create the flow. Okay, we're going to add our wave, and we're going to look for that new group that I just created as our first wave. Okay, existing group. That's our tenant there. That's fine. And then IT hyphen, and there it is. IT part devices. There it is. Add that. I'm going to suggest that we just pause after a couple of days. Yeah, 3 days is fine. So minimum response rate, 60% of the devices in that group, and I'll put that to 100%. That's also fine. We'll add our second wave, and I'll make this all devices essentially. All devices, that's good. I'm happy with that. And we'll also turn on radar as well. And we'll click on save and start deployment. That's fine, yep. As you can see now, it's uploading it to Intune, and it will start our wave 1 with our pilot devices. And then after successful that, 3 days later, moves on to all devices. You know about this. I've covered this numerous times before, but yeah, thought I'd show this again. So that's quite a real nice, simple way of adding extra command lines in, or extra configuration into Robopack as a custom app. And as you saw, it automatically puts all the PSADT PowerShell commands in there for us automatically. Real powerful feature. Fantastic. So now I'm going to move on to another app, an instant app this time, with a bit more in-depth configuration. And I'll show you that now for Foxit Editor. So the reason I'm picking on Foxit Editor is I've had a lot of issues with this app in the past, and still really get it today. Really, not the way I'm doing it now. I've solved that, but this app has got lots of different versions floating around. It doesn't seem to update or do a reinstall very well. I've tried doing things like uninstall first and all sorts of different ways to get this reliable. You get a real hit and miss with this app, and you get this sometimes with apps when they're trying to update or supersede to another app and things like that. It's just it's painful with some of the versions. So, and I found a way around it literally through trial and error, and literally just playing with it for quite some time. But I've got a real reliable way of doing Foxit Editor now, which I'm going to go into detail now. So the first thing I want to just talk about is if we go to the, oh, we've got it here. So Foxit Editor on their website, they've got a cleanup tool, and that's going to become crucial to what we need. So in the enterprise part, you've got two essentially cleanup tools, one for the editor, one for the reader. To be honest, the reader, I don't hardly have any issues with the reader. It's just the editor for some reason can be really funny. So I've already downloaded it, so I won't do it again, but you basically get the idea. We download a cleaner, and we're going to use the beauty of Robopack instant apps. We're going to pull it off the instant app. We're going to do a customized setting, and we're going to use the power of PSADT all through Robopack to solve some of these issues for us. So let's do that. Let's find Foxit Editor. Okay, we want the MSI one over here. We're going to analyze and build. Yeah, leave the defaults, that's fine. PSADT, yeah, all good. Import that. Okay, now we're going to add a custom setting. Let's do that. I don't want to target a specific version. As I mentioned before, you can target specific versions, but we want this customization to be for any version of Foxit Editor. Leave the rest as defaults. So the first thing I want to do is I want to upload the cleanup tool into this package. So let's do that. Add the file. There's my cleanup tool. A couple of cool things you can do here. This is really useful actually if you want to do things like, if you've got some software that uses like a license file, like a LIC file, or anything that requires keys or anything like that, and other stuff as well. You can literally, as part of the package deployment, you can do things like copy into certain locations. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can do subfolders. Yeah, it's really, really powerful. We don't want to do that. We're only interested in include it in the script, but do not copy. That's what we want, because we don't need to copy this anywhere. It's going to be part of the PSADT framework. I'll show you where it is later on. So we save that. As you can see here, there it is there. That's our tool there, ready to go. Let's now add some, actually, tell you what we do is let's add some apps to close. Let's do that quickly. So let's put in Foxit PDF Editor. Just to quickly explain what this is. So this is PSADT. Again, real nice interface here. I'll show you in the code later, but what this allows us to do, and you can put multiple apps in here to close. So if you've got apps, so if the app is open, PSADT, if you put the right process in here, it will automatically close. Basically, they get a pop-up on their screen, allowing them to basically close the application and continue the installation. That's if they've got PSADT. If they've got Foxit open, they can defer the installation. So yeah, PSADT is a whole another subject that I will do a video on, because there's quite a lot of detail around that, and I'll explain about all this in more detail. But for now, I'm going to apps to close. I'm going to look for this process, and if they have Foxit Editor open, we can give them a pop-up message that basically says, do you want to close it and install this new version or whatever, or do you want to defer it to later? But I'll come on to that in a separate video. Okay, let's now add some PowerShell scripts. So I'm going to click on Add PowerShell command, and we're going to do a pre-install PSADT version 4. Can put a comment in here like install Foxit Editor Clean-up Tool, and I'm going to paste the commands in, which I've already got saved, but let me talk you through the commands. So these are PSADT commands. We start the MSI process. The action is going to be install. We're going to grab it from our dir support files, which is part of this is where it puts it in PSADT. I'll come on to that a little bit later. Essentially, it's here, support files, but it's actually, you reference it by doing this command here. And then we're going to run, we're going to call the Foxit Clean-up Tool. We're going to do a quiet install, obviously, and we're going to skip the MSI already installed check. We're going to skip that process, because otherwise it can interfere with this. So we're going to skip that. I'll show you at the end the actual PSADT file structure, and you can see where all this goes. Okay, so that's our pre-install. I'm going to add another PowerShell command now. Okay, and that's going to be our post install. We're going to say, yeah, we're going to say remove Foxit Editor Clean-up Tool. Let's paste our commands in. Okay, so now same thing, MSI process, actions uninstall. It says post install, but you'll see the flow in a minute. You'll understand the flow. Product code. So how do I know about the MSI product code? That's really, really simple. Again, I'll show you that in a second. Robopack can get that for us. You can use other ways of getting it, but you might as well just throw it to Robopack and it'll tell you what the code is. So that's our PSADT PowerShell commands. There's one other thing actually I'm going to add into here. I'm going to add a registry setting into here, which will disable the Foxit Editor auto update. Like a lot of software, as you know, it goes off and tries to auto update and things like that. I don't really like. I'm not a fan of that too much. I prefer to control the updates through Robopack / Intune rather than letting the application itself try and update. Otherwise, I'll lose track of what versions people are on and did they update and didn't they update and all that, all that sort of stuff. So I prefer to use Robopack and Intune to control it. So let's add the registry setting now to disable the Foxit Editor update. Okay, so we're going to add a registry value. HK local machine, that's correct. We're going to do software / Foxit software. Oops, / Foxit PDF Editor / plugins /updater. That's right. Probably better to actually copy and paste this. Okay, so update mode string 0 and remove on uninstall. We want that because if we ever want to do an uninstall of Foxit, we want to make sure this registry entry is also removed. So again, that's nice and powerful. Let's do that. Save that. You can see here, if I just show you here, you can see that there it is. I can edit it, I can delete it, add some more, whatever. You can also import reg files. This is really powerful. So again, you can, if you've got software that requires lots of custom registry entries, you can export them as a reg file and just import it straight into here, and all the values are there. I've done that for the FortiGate VPN client. There's a whole bunch of settings around that, and I've exported that as a reg file before and imported it directly into here. So I've got that constant, for all devices, I've got the same VPN profile. It's pretty cool. Okay, so let's just recap what we've got here. So that's all we've got. We've got apps to close, which is obviously it. Foxit, we've got our registry settings, we've got our file, there it is there, the cleanup tool, we've got our inst and scripts. Okay, let's save that and let's have a look at the code. Okay, that's now saved. Let's go back to packages. Let's have a look at Foxit. Let's view the script. Let's have a look what it's doing. So if we scroll here a minute, here's the command for looking for the process or the name. Foxit Editor, so that obviously allows deferral times of 3. I'll cover that in a separate video and show you that in more detail when we talk about PSADT. So there's our pre-install. So it's going to go off now and install the cleanup tool, and it's going to run that tool silently. After that, it's then going to start the main Foxit Editor installation with all the logs. Again, logs is another separate topic. I'll come on to that on another video. And then it does a post install. Bit confusing, but essentially what we're doing here is we are removing the Foxit Editor cleanup tool. We don't want that left over, so I just basically silently remove that. And I found this method extremely reliable deploying this application. The only caveat I would say is if there's any customization settings, obviously you're going to lose all them because the cleanup tool literally does a nuke on the editor. So, but 9 times out of 10, I don't think, I mean, I've had no complaints doing it this way, and people aren't having any customization in the editor. So if we scroll down a bit further, you'll see there's some uninstall stuff here, and there's our registry command when we do the uninstall. You can see here, yeah, there it is. There removes that. So that's the script. I think we're all ready to go on that. So before I push this as a flow into Intune and set up the groups, I just want to show you the structure, the PSADT structure of what this is going to look like. So let's just download that now. So I can download the PSADT script. This will download the framework with the script in it and also the files. So let's take a look at this. So let's take a look at the Foxit Editor PSADT, which is downloaded from Robopack. This is it here. There's a whole bunch of files and folders. I'll talk about that in a separate video because PSADT is quite involved, and I'll talk about that in more detail. But just very quickly, if we go to files, there's the main Foxit Editor main installation file. And if we go to support files, if you remember what we uploaded in support files in Robopack, you can see our Foxit Editor Clean-up Tool. And we call that within the script. This is obviously the script here, and that's the exe. Yeah, so this whole framework I'll talk about in a separate video, but I just want to quickly show you get the idea. Okay, back into Robopack. I think we can now set up the flow. Let's do that. We're going to set some flow options, the usual. Pause. That's fine. Leave that for now. Create the flow. And same again. Let's do our existing group. Let's do our IT pilot group. Always a good idea. Give it a couple of days. 3 days is fine. 100% on there. Add our second wave. We can do a okay, so we don't want the editor to go to every single person in the organization, so we can do a new group. We can do required. We can just change some settings in here. That's fine. So we're going to have this group here. That's okay. Create the group. Let's just knock that down a little bit. 75% of that should be fine. And we'll enable tracking as well. So again, just to recap, it's going to go to our pilot devices, make sure everything's okay. Always good practice. We're going to set a little delay here, a couple of 3 days. As long as it hits this target, as long as it hits these thresholds, we'll be happy with that. It then moves on to wave 2, which is going to be this group here. So obviously you can put devices or whatever you want to do, and you can put it into the company portal by adding more waves if you want to for all users, etc. Or sorry, not all users, for particular user groups if you want to do that. But for now, just leave it like this. And then obviously we want to enable radar tracking to make sure if this package is actually out there already, radar tracking can get that and patch it for us, bring it up to date. So let's save and start the deployment. Okay, it's now uploading to Intune and creating the assignments where needed. Okay, that's completed. Okay, before I finish this video, I just want to quickly show you how I got the MSI key that we put in to do the uninstall. If you remember, for the cleanup tool in the PSADT part of the custom app in Robopack. So the easiest way I found is to literally go to a custom app. We upload the editor. There it is there, Intune wins, fine, click continue, and there you go. That was the key that we used in the PSADT script. Nice and simple, quick way of doing it. I can just now cancel this now. Now I've got the key. Hopefully you found that useful. Just again, 2 examples of 2 applications there using custom settings. I've done a ton more custom settings. Again, as I said before, is one of the best features of Robopack. Allows you to do some real fancy installations on stuff that requires a lot more than just a standard, MSI silent install. Yeah, if you want to see anything else, let me know. If you've got any apps that are causing you some pain, just put a description in the comments. I'd be interested to see your views around some of the apps that give you a lot of problems. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.